Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. You're welcome. We come today and we look to mothers. We look to the great love that they pour out upon us. The need that we have for this love, the mother's love. And when that love isn't there, the void that causes in our hearts, in our lives. God intended for us to love each other selflessly. And yet there are some, maybe even most of us, who have some selfishness there in our love. And for some mothers even, they refuse to love with selflessness, as hard as that may seem to believe. And what does that wound bring to people? Well, I was reading a story the other day about a young woman who had scaled a chain link fence on an interstate overpass in order to throw herself off and end her life. Well, one of the people passing by, a mother of 2 and a grandmother of 6, saw this woman and pulled over, called the police, and then ran over and grabbed her through the chain link fence, grabbed her clothing and said, "No, honey, don't do this." And so she's clutching her with all of her might. And then other motorists stopped their cars and joined the frantic attempt to hold on to this woman through the openings in the fence. A police officer arrived at the scene and described what he saw. A woman dangling from an overpass, held by a giant mass of people. What had led this young woman to such a desperate act? The woman who went to rescue her recalled how the young woman kept saying over and over and over again, "My mom don't love me. My mom don't care for me." But the woman kept soothing her through the fence, saying again and again to her, "No, we love you. We love you." A mother's love. She recognized the young woman in desperation. It was a mother who rushed to her aid. It was a mother who assured her with love. It was a mother who inspired the charity of the other passers-by to stop and to help her out. As one rescuer put it, everyone was determined they weren't going to let go of that lady for any reason. One mother didn't love, and the wound that was there, another mother loved and saved a life. The need that we have for a mother's love. All of you mothers out there know how hard you work to love your children. You also know how imperfect you are, how, whether you show it or not, the frustration you might have at times. And I've had so many women come to me and say after their children have grown and out of the house and are living lives they might not agree with, and they're saying, "Oh, I struggle, Father, with, could I have been a better mother?" And the truth is, we're all broken. We're all broken, and it is with the striving that we love that is the best we can do. But there is one mother. There is one mother who lived life in this world, who loved perfectly. And she was given to us to be each one of our mothers. Our Blessed Mother. The ancient hymn Ave Maria Stella says, "Show yourself a mother." And sometimes we see Mary only as Queen of heaven and earth, as someone out there. We don't see her as the mother that she is. Yesterday we celebrated the 100th anniversary of Our Lady of Fatima, where she appeared to 3 shepherd children in a backwater town of Portugal named Fatima. And there she appeared to them, and the first words she said were words of a mother caring for her children, soothing her children. "Do not be afraid." Echoes back and reminiscent of the words in the gospel that Jesus says, Do not let your hearts be troubled. She says, do not be afraid. And she says, I have come to say that there will be peace, an end to this great war that you're experiencing. They were in the midst of World War I. But unless you convert and give your hearts over to me, there will be another war even worse than this. She came with a message of peace. She came with a message of hope. She came with a mother's love. You see, when we look to Our Lady, we're not supposed to just see a queen of heaven and earth. We're supposed to see Mama. Someone who loves each one of us intimately. For when she looks at us, and each of us have been given to her, she doesn't see the vast crowd and the mass of people who are her children. She sees each person, each one of her children. You see, a mother's love is not for all of her children. A mother's love is for each of her children. This past Friday, I had the great opportunity of going and holding a newborn baby. And as I was there holding this baby who was not yet 10 hours old, and as of at least 9 o'clock this morning, she still doesn't have a name. As I'm holding this baby and cradling it, and then watching the other 4 children running around crazy in the hospital room, I noticed Mom's love and care. Tired, having been up since who knows when in the morning. Baby was born at 3:30. And now it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and she's gotten no sleep. And she still is reaching out in love to each of her children. It inspired me. I don't do so well on no sleep. I need to work on that. But she sees this great love. This is the love of a mother. Sometimes we get in our head that love is a zero-sum game. You know, where I have so much love that I can give, and so if there's more people I have to love, it's divided. So, okay, we have one child. I'm pouring all my love on this one child. Oh, now we have 2 children. Okay, I'm going to take half of my love that I was giving you, and now I have to give it to this other child. Uh-oh, now there's a 3rd child. I'm sorry, you all lose out because now I have to give part of my love to this child. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Love is not a zero-sum game. Love multiplies. Love multiplies. When there are more to love, our love becomes more. Each child receives a unique and individual love, so that every mother that I've talked to, at least in front of their children, will say that they're each my favorite. And so Mary says to us, each one of us, you're my favorite. You're my favorite son, my favorite daughter. God loves us, and He gives us a mother to show us the mother's love from the heart of God. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God, have faith also in me, Jesus says. And our hearts can be troubled by the world, by the violence out there. Our hearts can be troubled by the way the world is going. Our hearts can be troubled by the way our family sometimes acts as they go off and they do things that we know are bad for them, are hurting them and others. Our hearts can be troubled by our own brokenness, our own weakness, our own shame, our own inadequacy. Our hearts can be troubled. And God says, give it to me. Don't be afraid. Give me your troubles. And so when we hand our troubles, our burdens, when we lay them down into Mary's hands, she speeds them in the fastest way into the heart of Christ, where He burns them up in His sacred heart. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Our Lady's message was a message of peace. And this message is for each of us, and she tells us to pray the rosary every day for peace. If you haven't picked up the rosary in a while, and I encourage you to, we have how to pray the rosaries on the table in the back with all the Fatima stuff, as well as in the books, in the shelves with all the pamphlets. If you haven't picked up a rosary, I encourage you to do it. Learn how to pray the rosary. It's a powerful way of growing close to God as Mama Mary takes us by the hand and leads us through the mysteries of Christ's life into the heart of Jesus, where our troubles can be burned away in His sacred heart of love. It is an act of love, a prayer of love. May we this day rededicate ourselves to Jesus through the heart of Mary, and allow the Universal Mother to be my mother, your mother.